Well, hello and welcome to the sixth episode of Series 3. Travelled up to Scotland this morning. Delighted to be at one of my favourite golf courses, looking at Troon, overseeing the Troon golf course, the home of so many Opens over the centuries. And today we are very lucky to be at Marina Lawn, and we're actually interviewing the president of Marina Lawn, Phillip Allen. Phillip, thank you very much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you, Neil. It's great to be here. I appreciate you having me on today. Brilliant.
Thank you very much. We always start with a glass of Gusbourne. I know that Robin, who's the general manager here at Troon and Marina Lawn, loves Gusbourne.
Yes.
We love Gusbourne because they sponsor us.
Sure.
And today we've chosen a 2020 Rosé.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, but Gusbourne is based in Kent.
Okay.
It's the second sunniest place in Britain.
Right.
And their USP is that they only produce vintages. So it's not a mixture of years. So the 2020 Rosé today, which has the skins left in from their Pinot Noir grapes, as well as their Chardonnays. So it's a beautiful wine. Have a taste and see
That's
what
fabulous.
you think.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's lovely. I've been fortunate enough to have Gusbourne on a few occasions. It's not quite noon.
No.
So I'm only going to have 3 or 4 glasses.
Yeah.
This morning. But hopefully that will be okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Usually we do podcasts around about 9:30 in some very interesting places. And yeah, it's 9:30, but it's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, right?
That's right.
So there you go. And you've got a very interesting story, which I think is quite close to your heart.
Yes.
From a wine story. Can you just tell us? And it's about rosé as well, isn't it?
Sure, it is. The story is really about my son. I'm going to give the short version of this story because the long version would take, the whole hour.
Yeah.
But my son was born unexpectedly, very prematurely, at 24 weeks gestation. My wife was 24 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
And my son weighed 1.5 pounds. We were in San Luis Obispo, California, when he was born, which I am from Louisville, Kentucky. So we're basically as far away from our home in the continental United States as we could possibly be. And he had a lot of complications that come with that level of prematurity, but fortunately he survived. He has thrived. He's done very well given where he started in life. And when he was 10 years old, we took him back out to the central coast of California, along with my daughter Celia, who was born actually also a little bit prematurely, but not nearly so much. And we took Jack and Celia back to the central coast of California, and we met the doctors who had saved his life, who had taken great care of him for 3 months. And I just remember after we had been at the hospital that day, we went back to this seaside hotel on the central coast, and my kids were playing in the pool, and my wife and I were sitting on the pool deck, and I really had not drunk much rosé at that time, but for whatever reason, we ordered a bottle of rosé, and it was fantastic, and we just it was just a moment that has really stuck with me. It was a moment where we had seen our son go from being fighting for his life to being a thriving 10-year-old kid playing with his 7-year-old sister in the pool, and us sitting by and drinking rosé. And so that's been that's my
nice
favorite
memory to
rosé
have.
memory.
Every time you see a rosé,
this is my second favorite rosé memory now.
Absolutely perfect. Very good. And not really from a golfing industry, though. I mean, normally I know my guests. Obviously, just sat down with you today.
Sure.
Tried to find, obviously, did my research. But you're a lawyer by trade, is that right?
I'm a lawyer by trade and training, although I have worked my way out of the law. And for the past 16 years, I've been in the hotel business.
Okay.
Some legal work at the beginning of that, but I worked my way more into the acquisitions and development side, and then into the operations and brand management side.
And was that because you were interested in finance, or you really liked hotels?
Yeah, it's really because I was a deal guy.
Okay.
The thread that runs all the way through my career is I've always been involved in transactional work. So even when I was practicing law, I was doing M&A deals or securities deals. I was never a courtroom lawyer. I don't know what to say in front of a judge. I can't get you out of a speeding ticket. So none of that. So I was always a transactional attorney. And then I went into kind of in-house practice of law for Yum Brands, which is Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC, based in Kentucky, where I'm from. And then from there was recruited away by a good friend of mine who is now the mayor of the city where I'm from, Louisville, Kentucky. Craig Greenberg called me out of the blue one day and said, "We've got this hotel company I'm helping to build with this high net worth couple, and I could use some help on the legal side." And so I took the plunge after it took him a while to convince me that was a good opportunity, but eventually I took the plunge there, and we built that business from a single hotel up to almost a dozen. We then sold that brand to Accor Hotels, and that was the point at which I called Ben Weprin, the founder and CEO of AJ Capital, and said, "I'm looking to make a move, and I'd love to come talk to you." AJ had started the Graduate Hotel brand, which is a university-based hotel concept. We've got 2 of those in England and about 35 in the US. And so I made that move to AJ, and that was when I made a clean break with the law.
Right, so, and full-time hospitality.
Full-time hotelier at that point, yes.
Fantastic. And golf?
Yes.
Were you a junior golfer? Did you grow up at the country club?
I did. I have played golf my entire life, but never very well and never very seriously. So I was the type of golfer, who would ride around on a buggy, who would have a beer on the front 9 and a beer on the back 9, maybe 2 if things were going well, and shoot 92 and be perfectly happy with that. I didn't have the beer when I was a junior, to be clear. So yeah,
we won't tell anybody.
So yes, I grew up playing, but just never took it very seriously, and I love the game. And because of the role that I found myself in, now I wish I could go back and play a lot more in my youth. But I've had to get a little bit more serious about it, being over here playing with a lot of good players and playing at a lot of great golf courses.
Any good deals on the golf course?
Any good what?
Any good deals? If you're a deal guy, golf is usually pretty good.
Oh, have I made any good deals on the golf course? Yes, golf is definitely part of business over here. I mean, my business even more than others. So yes, lots of discussions and conversations.
Yeah, I think that's where people, from a golf perspective, I think I was very lucky when I was at Lot Lomond. Lyle Anderson, who was our owner, he said, "Look, we've chosen you because you're a golf guy. What we want you to do is go and play with the members and get to know the members." So, yeah, great. So we came up with this idea of the GM putter. And every Friday, we would try and find 2 members to play golf with, the director of golf or myself.
Sure.
And we put it out to the membership at the beginning of the year, and the members thought this was a great idea. One, because they could really get to know the GM and get to know the director of golf.
Right.
But also they're super competitive. They want to win. Yeah. Because what we did was the people, you had to go all the way to 18. The people who beat us the most won the GM putter. And we had a dinner afterwards.
Okay.
And obviously we had some very influential and very nice members but they had big jobs, powerful people in industry. So one, it was fascinating for me to learn from them, but also to get to know them. And we had a lot of American members as well, who only came over probably, maybe once or 2 or 3 times a year.
Right.
But what that did was break down barriers.
Yes.
You got to know people. So it wasn't just the case of, "Hello, Mr. Allen, how are you?" Yes. His family, okay, fine. But it's actually knowing the person and say, "Oh, how is so-and-so?" And they felt that there was definitely a connection, which is what clubs is all about.
Absolutely.
It's just about making sure that, and I think golf is able to do that. 18 holes, probably, if it's a 2-ball, it's hopefully 3.5 hours. If it's a 4-ball, we would take about 4 hours, 4.25 hours. We always have caddies.
Sure.
And then sit down with a drink on the terrace. And that brought so much out of people. And one of the reasons why we do the podcast is to try and bring that, that spirit.
Yes.
And hopefully that comes across on the podcast. And that's where also deals are done. A lot of people, they said, well, being a member of Loch Lomond, if I invite somebody to come and play, generally they say, yes, please, I'll
Absolutely.
come. So,
Absolutely.
and that's where I can get the deals done.
I got that invitation when I first started traveling over here. I met with a chap in London who invited me to come up to Loch Lomond, and I never took him up on it, and now we've lost touch. So if anybody's listening wants to invite me to Loch Lomond, that'd be great.
If you get the chance, definitely. It's magnificent.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's what everyone says.
So look at Marine and Lawn. You said that you've had this conversation. Which was the first one? You know, where did you start?
Yes.
And why?
As Paul McCartney said when he reached the end of the Kintyre Peninsula, that is a long and winding road. So I'm going to try and not bore your audience to tear with the long version of that story. But I joined AJ Capital in 2018, so just about exactly 8 years ago. And I was primarily focused on expanding the graduate hotel brand at that time. As I said, we were able to do 2 graduate deals, one in Cambridge and one in Oxford, England.
2 good places to have them.
Yes, the right places to have a university-focused hotel concept. So we then had an opportunity to acquire some hotels from McDonald Hotels and Resorts, a big Scottish hotel company. And we looked at really their entire portfolio and ultimately decided that we wanted the 2 crown jewels of that portfolio, one of which was the Randolph Hotel in Oxford, which is now a graduate, and the other is the Rusacks Hotel in St. Andrews. And the story of acquiring the Rusacks involves me coming up to St. Andrews for the first time in my life at the end of a very long week in which I had visited about 25 different hotels. They were all starting to run together, as you can imagine. And I entered on in the front door, which is not the side of the old course. And so still really hadn't seen the amazing view that property has. And I was greeted by Seamus Cohn, a legendary GM of Rusacks. Sadly, Seamus will be leaving us later this year. He's announced that he's getting married right now.
I was just going to say,
Congratulations, Seamus. Well done. And he's going to be moving to the States.
Okay.
So we've got some big shoes to fill there because Seamus is a real legend. The unofficial mayor of St. Andrews, as I like to say. So Seamus was already there before us, and he greets me and he's showing me around. And again, I still haven't seen the golf course. And we go out onto there's one guest room at the Rusacks that has a very large and prominent balcony, which if you've ever been on the old course looking at the hotel, you've seen.
Yes.
And that's room 116.
Yes.
And we walk into room 116, and he sort of knows what he's doing, and so he kind of builds it up, and he opens the door, and I walk out onto the balcony of 116, and my jaw just dropped. And you're staring at the 18th and the 1st of the old course, the R&A Clubhouse, the West Sands Beach beyond, where they filmed the opening scene of Chariots of Fire. And I just said, we've got to have this. You know, we've got to have this. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but we've got to have it. And so I went.
What year was that?
This is 2019.
Okay.
It was May, but it was unseasonably cold. I remember being underdressed and absolutely freezing for a big chunk of that trip. And so I went back. At the time, I was traveling back and forth from the US to the UK, and I went back and I talked to Ben, and I was telling him all of the things that I had seen and the ones that I thought, were great candidates and the ones that maybe were not. And fortunately, he and I were very much aligned on that. He's a golfer as well and knew St. Andrews. I don't think he had ever been there, but of course knew of it. And so we were able to go back and strike a deal to buy those 2 properties, the Randolph and the Rusacks. And we did have a brief internal discussion about the Rusacks. Should it be part of the graduate portfolio? Just up the road, you have a world-famous university.
St. Andrews
University, a fabulous place. But we ultimately decided it was going to be dilutive to the brand to do anything but go all in on golf, right? I mean, you are literally in the world's best location for a golf hotel. You're literally right at the center of
the cathedral, aren't you?
Yes,
really?
You are. Yeah. And so we said, no, we're going to go all in on golf. And then, having had the opportunity to go around to some of these regional UK locations, it just sort of occurred to me that a lot of the best golf tourism destinations were not really well served by hotels. That a lot of the hotels in these areas were not being properly invested in. Nobody was doing it at scale, and nobody was doing it on a branded basis. And you've got a lot of affluent people coming over for this once-in-a-lifetime golf trip. They're not necessarily super price sensitive, and they would rather stay somewhere great than stay somewhere mediocre for a lower price. And so we literally just started looking around the UK. What other places are available next to world-class golf courses? And the second one also happened to be owned by McDonald's, so that was the Marine Hotel in North Berwick. And our timing has worked out really well there. The North Berwick Golf Club is one that just continues to kind of shoot up the rankings.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's ever played it comes off saying that was an amazing day. And so, so number 2 was North Berwick, was the Marine Hotel in North Berwick, and then number 3 was the one we're sitting in right now, the Marine Hotel in Troon, which again I did this deal by just looking on Google Maps, trying to identify essentially kind of top 50 golf courses in the world according to Golf Digest and Open Championship courses. Yeah. Those are the places I was looking for. Yeah. And this one immediately jumped out at me. It's on an Open Championship course. It's a beautiful building. A lot of the properties that we've acquired come from the same era. They're all late Victorian. Yeah. A lot of them have great bones, but have maybe just not been maintained and invested in the way they should be. And so
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I was lucky enough to work at St Andrews for 7 years. And I kind of know the politics of St Andrews as well. And what you've done with the Russecks, one, by extending it, that's not easy to do.
No.
And it takes guts to be able to do it, because I can imagine what you probably had to go through to try and do that as well. So it wasn't just taking over a hotel, it was trying to persuade the community that you wanted to change the landscape as well, because that's quite a big thing to do in St Andrews.
So I have to give some recognition here to my friend Donald McDonald, who their organization actually achieved the planning permission to add that extension before we bought it. So we bought it subject to already having the approved planning permission to add that. Now, of course, we designed it. We changed it a little bit. Yeah. I don't think they had planned to put the rooftop restaurant on, which has now become,
which is great.
Kind of the showpiece of the entire property. But they went through all of that hard work to get that in place. So when we bought it, we had the permission there, and it was interesting because what was there was a surface car park.
Yes,
it's not like we had torn down some beautiful.
But it's always been there.
It's always been there. It's always been there, and I do think there's an element. There's an element of, in the world of British golf, and probably in St Andrews even more so, that
change.
You just don't change things, right? We've always done it this way. Why would we do it any differently? And so when we started to build the extension there, and of course the extension goes up, and it's a steel frame, and a steel frame is ugly. So for a year or so, you're looking at an ugly steel frame, and then finally when we put the cladding on, people realized that we had done it the right way.
It's very nicely done, I have to say.
Thank you.
I've been lucky enough to. So Ryan Nodes, who owns the Addington, which is a great golf course, and doing a lot of renovations to it. He always invites me to the Bobby Jones at the end of the year, and we stay at the Russecks.
Great.
And so the opportunity to see it, I think the first time I went up was probably 22, and it was all been done.
Yeah.
It was just after the Open, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it would have been 22.
It's 2022.
And he said, would you like to come up and play? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. So we played King's Barnes, and then we ate at the seafood restaurant.
Yep.
And then we had a few drinks in the bar.
As one does.
As one does. But I really thought you did a fantastic job. And I always loved the Russecks. The first time I ever went to the Russecks was in 1984. I went to the 1984 Open.
Wow.
I was 17 or 18, I think.
Amazing.
And I went with my parents and the dog.
Right.
And in those days, it was a practice day, and there was people everywhere, as there is. And I think my dad wanted to drink, but we didn't know if we could go in or not. Right. We happened to meet the GM at the time, a character. There always seems to be a character at the Russecks. Sure. Who came in, and everybody was everywhere. And yeah, my dad got a bottle of champagne and we just sat there. And I always remember
Fabulous.
the Russets was for friendliness.
Yes.
And, you know, all the players were there as well, which was great. Right. So in my mind, the Russets is like one of my favourite hotels as well.
Thank you. Mine too.
But I think also, then having worked at St Andrews and worked very closely with the RNA, we wanted to go and see the other links courses. And, you know, we have St Andrews obviously has a very good relationship with the, here at Troon and Muirfield and all of the great golf courses. And that was what it really let it down. When you go and look for somewhere to stay,
right,
they were tired.
Yep.
Let's be polite. They were tired. They hadn't had the investment. And with the Open getting bigger and bigger, and with the crowds coming, certainly from America, or certainly from Asia, people, are used to nice hotels.
Yes.
And so I think, the story you've just highlighted is investing in old buildings, but making them, in the 21st century. And really, I think the thing that I've noticed, certainly at the Russets, and I was lucky enough to stay at the station house at Dornoch, and that was in November, so there was nobody there. Yeah. Again, the staff was so nice, they were personable, and they really, I think, again, from a community perspective, they really were proud to work in the hotel. And right. I think we kind of just talked about community, and I think you almost, when you take over what are big parts of the community, you become part of that community, but you also have sort of a care and attention to that community as well.
Yes.
Is that something that you also think about when you're from an employment and the whole overall feel of what you're trying to create?
Absolutely. I mean, we want to be good members of the community for sure. We want to be allies and friends to the clubs that we're adjacent to, and we want to be great employers who employ as many people as we can in these communities. We always approach the golf clubs in the markets that we're in first by saying, what can we do for you? We first of all, we're Americans, so we're outsiders coming in to a new place, and we want the community and particularly the clubs to understand that we respect the heritage. We're here because they're here. Yeah. We're here because they have been here for 100 years, because they've hosted Open Championships, because they do things the right way, because they are some of the best golf courses in the world. So the last thing we want to do is come in and do things that would upset that. Mm-hmm. And so we tend to go to the clubs and say, we're new in town, and rather than saying what can you do for us, we like to say what can we do for you? How can we be better members of this community? How can we help to serve your members, your membership? What can we do to get them to make them feel like the hotel is an extension of their club? Mm-hmm. And usually when you do that, it's reciprocated. Mm-hmm. And once people 100%. Understand that you're there for them, then they're willing to extend a hand back to you. So that's the mindset that we have. Come into the community, offer to be a good partner and a good citizen of the community first.
And kind of keep the money in the town as well, because the employment brings that, doesn't
it? For sure. So we're bringing bringing a great hotel to an area like Troon or to an area like Dornoch. That's going to keep more of the money in that area. Yeah. I'm not saying people are necessarily planning their trips around marine and lawn destinations, but they are to some extent. If they're coming overseas anyway. Where they're going to spend the night is dependent to some extent on the quality of the hotel in that community, right? Yeah. You could stay in Glasgow and come and play here, or you could stay here and play here. So
it's interesting that another one of the hotels I love is Grey Walls. Yes. And I know it hasn't been refurbished as you want it to be as a marine lawn, but that's a very different hotel to, say, the Russets or here. What's your thinking with that one? Because it's more boutique.
Yes, we are absolutely thrilled about Grey Walls. I mean, I think it is a jewel box of a building. It is going to be another gem in the marina lawn crown, so to speak. So it is quite small, significantly smaller than here. It's more like our Portrush property in terms of size. It's about 35 guest rooms. Yeah. It's been in the same family for 75 or 80 years, the Weaver family, who are kind of iconic up there in East Lothian. Yeah. And I was very, very appreciative and grateful when Johanna Weaver and her husband, Dominic Hoare, decided that they were willing to sell to us. I think that property means a lot to them.
Yeah.
It was not just a financial transaction for them. I mean,
Yeah.
that holds they are emotionally attached to that. And they had seen what we had done in other locations. And I think they felt like we were the right stewards of that. So
do you think you'll give that a little, will that be slightly different because of that attachment? Or do you think it's very much, no, this is marine and lawn, this is kind of how we want to portray our brand?
Well, all of our properties are designed bespoke. We have
Right.
an internal design team that is extremely talented. They look into sort of the heritage and history of every community that we go to, as well as the natural environment. I mean, they do a fantastic job of sort of bringing the outdoors inside.
Yeah.
They're really good at understanding the local flora and fauna and making sure that that's well represented in the design work that we do.
Yeah.
But also, you know, the history of the community, the history of golf. If you go into our guest rooms here, we've got a picture of Arthur Havers, champion golfer here at Royal Troon. And so it will be the same ethos there at Grey Walls, but necessarily it will be designed differently to reflect that community.
Yeah.
The other thing there is that that building was designed by a world famous architect, Edward Lutyens. I hope I'm saying his name correct.
Okay.
And also the gardens around it were designed by another famous landscape architect, Gertrude Jekyll, I believe I've got that correct. And so it's a grade A listed building. We really can't do anything to the exterior, and we wouldn't want to.
No.
I mean, it is an architectural gem.
Yeah.
So most of our work will be focused on the interiors.
Yeah.
We'll do a little bit of cleanup of the exterior and the landscaping, but it will look from the exterior, you know, basically the same way it does right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to look and see that one, that's for sure.
And of course, it's literally right next to the Muirfield Clubhouse.
Exactly. That's why it was always, you know, kind of the little gem. If you could get there.
Yes.
Yeah. You know. Oh yeah. If we get into the Grey Walls, that'd be fantastic. And luckily enough, I think I stayed there a couple of times and loved it.
I have to say, we've gotten to know some of the leadership at Muirfield very well.
Yeah.
They've been very welcoming to us.
Well, Stuart.
Stuart is a prince of a guy.
I knew him when he was at King's Barnes.
Yes,
So we had a good relationship at King's Barnes, and then every now and again, you know, somebody said like, "Oh, well, how do I get onto Muirfield?" So Stuart, is there an opportunity? And we have a chat every now and again. Lovely guy.
It's funny how small the world of golf is, isn't it?
You've probably seen that now,
I really
especially
have.
over here.
I really have. That was something I wasn't necessarily expecting. I was listening to one of your other podcasts recently, and you know, you and your guest were just going back and forth on everybody that you had known, where they had been before. And I mean, one of the things that I've enjoyed over here is getting to know a lot of those people and realizing you don't have to know that many people before you sort of know everyone
at
in
this
the world
level,
at the higher end of British golf.
Because they, especially in your position, they'll want to introduce you, which is really nice.
Yes, that's been nice.
And the other thing is, we've now established that you actually live in the UK. I thought you might have come back and forth, but you've actually established yourself in London.
Yes.
But it was that you felt you needed to be here full time, and you were happy for your family to come out, because it's a big thing to move.
Yes.
And be part of, you know, the UK. It's a very different way of living. I mean, I moved to Dubai and took my family.
Right.
This was back in '97. I know it was a great experience, but it was a big move.
Sure.
And here, and again, you're traveling to Scotland quite a lot. You're traveling to Liverpool. There's not too many. In fact, do you have one in England?
We don't. We don't.
There you go.
We can talk
so is that
about
something for the future?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
But so I, as I said, I joined the company 8 years ago. From the beginning, all of my work has been over in the United Kingdom and Ireland, although we don't yet have a property in Ireland, hopefully coming soon. And so I did the commute essentially for 4 years. I was flying back and forth as many as 10 times a year. Where I'm from in Kentucky, we don't have a nonstop flight to the UK, so I would have to go somewhere, of course, and then fly to London, and then from London come north. Yeah. And once we got, I think we had the first 3 open and a couple of more in development, and I just went to our investment committee and said, I think I should make the move. I think I need to be there full time. All of my business is over there. I'm killing myself traveling nonstop, and so I broke that news to my wife and my daughter. My son was actually, when we moved, my son was just graduating from high school and moving on to university. My daughter was 16 years old, had 2 more years of high school. And God bless her, she was great. I mean, she really had a good attitude about it. There were a couple of tough months. Basically, the month right before we left and the month right after we got to London were a little rocky. But ultimately, she's really enjoyed it. She enjoyed doing her last 2 years of high school in London. We moved to St. John's Wood, which is where a lot of Americans move because there is a prominent American school there. So my daughter spent her last 2 years at the American school, is now back at university in the States, but my wife and I have stayed in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
We've been here 4 years. I love it. I love London.
Fantastic.
It's not the world's greatest weather, but
it changes.
It changes a lot. But no, it's a great city. There is so much to do there. I mean, sport, theater, restaurants, you name it. Golf, of course. Get a little bit outside of the city. So it's been great.
It's interesting because while you're talking as well, I was thinking, none in England. I was down at Royal St George's. And again, to kind of highlight what you've brought to communities and brought to the tourism industry, is that Colin was saying, we don't probably get as many Americans as we should because we don't have the accommodation. And, it's such, obviously it's on the open rota.
Yep.
It's a fabulous course.
Yep.
Colin does a fantastic job. Ash and I were there. We loved it, didn't we? The sun was out in March.
Yep.
We did a podcast with Fescue and Dunes, who are a really interesting company, and who have got to know a lot of the Irish and Scottish courses. But Colin, who was at Carnoustie, was like, yeah, I get this straight away. So come in and help us with our white label.
Right.
So again, always thinking about looking after the tourism, because hey, if you're comfortable, you'll spend more, won't you, at the end of the day.
There's 3 great courses, one after another there.
Correct. Princes,
Royal St. Ports.
And Royal St. Ports, exactly.
St. George.
And the Hagen, you see, that's the competition.
Yes.
So they've just put together.
Yes.
And it kind of, that's where I like Marine and Lawn, because you've looked at it and said, like, what are we trying to give the tourism trade, really? Wealthy Americans who have got disposable income love their golf.
Yes.
And I think what it has done is also help the golf courses, because the prices of the creek fees have gone up as well. Because it's, hey, look, we know we're going to stay at really nice accommodation. The golf courses are great.
Right.
Look, why wouldn't we do it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. COVID has been good for the game of golf.
Absolutely, 100%.
Certainly for golf tourism. A lot of these golf courses are charging rates that I think they wouldn't have imagined a few years ago. Yeah. And people are still paying them.
Yeah, more and more,
And, it's such an interesting model over here. It's so different from the States, where a lot of the very best courses are exclusively private.
Correct.
And you just cannot get on them no matter what you're willing to pay. Whereas I really like the model over here where, yes, it's expensive to play, but if you're willing to, you can get on some of these fantastic private golf courses. And so the model where the visitors subsidize the local members. It seems to work. Everybody seems to be happy. 100%. So,
well, you think of Dornoch with the new clubhouse. And
yes, I was just there.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just there. Neil Hampton gave me a quick tour. I only had a few minutes, so I texted him and said, "Sorry for the late notice, but I haven't gotten through the new clubhouse. Would you mind taking me around?" And he graciously did. Showed me the entire thing, including back of house and everything. I think they did an amazing job.
I do.
It fits in well there. Kind of, we were talking about the extension that we built in St. Andrews. Yeah. It sort of has that same look to it in terms of the cladding, and I think they did a really nice job of preserving the history, which is so great there.
That's what you have
while also creating a modern amenity for their members and guests. So I think they've done a very nice job.
And I think you seem the hotel and the golf club has a very good relationship. I mean, straight away I thought,
absolutely.
Neil, we're coming up. Where should I stay? Oh, station.
Yeah,
it's great. Thank you very much.
That's great.
I mean, it was November as well, so it's like a lot of places are closed, but it was like, there was that relationship definitely that was there, and we had dinner together, and I think that again just shows you that it's bringing the community together. The golf club, and you brought Mark Booker on as well, who I've known for a number of years.
Have you? Okay, great.
So I was really pleased that when Mike Harris got the opportunity to become the agency for you, because Mike's great. We're fortunate to work with a lot of different agencies on the podcast, so because we want to represent their clients.
Right.
But Mike was our first ever podcast, and he said, and I said, so pleased that you've got Marina Lawn. Is there any chance of doing a podcast? So here we are, 6-7 months later.
Yeah.
But really, from a lifestyle perspective as well, I'm thinking winter. How do you look at winter? Great in the summer, like today, full, and walk in, people everywhere. Walk in November, the guy's going, wherever you like.
Yes.
And that, from a business perspective, must also be thinking, how do we change this around?
Yes, I mean, there's no question our properties are seasonal.
Yeah.
There's no sugarcoating that. So in the high seasons, they're full, not exclusively, but largely with North Americans who are coming over to play golf. They pay, they're willing to pay the higher rates. The demand is there to get those rates. And in the off season, it's much more of a domestically focused business.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rates are not quite as high, so it's a much more of a value proposition. There are still reasons to come to some of these communities.
Yeah.
We've got spas at several of our properties. The Sleeve Donner here at Marine Troon and Marine North Berwick all have high quality spas, so you can come and do a getaway.
Can you be a member? Could the locals be a member of the spa?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. So we've got a great membership at all of those locations, and I think and I hope that the locals are appreciative of what we've done. To bring that business to them.
I'm sure they are, absolutely, 100%.
But there are still reasons to come here. We do some adventure weekends, which will include things like hiking and some wild swimming.
Yeah.
People will swim in any water. I won't, but it's crazy what people will get into these days.
I came from Dubai, where it was boiling hot and people just go in the sea, and then literally I was driving down West Sands, and there's these students, and it's freezing, and they're just jumping in the sea. Then it's the North Sea. Yeah. I was like, you're crazy.
No, thanks. So, and then of course the places are decorated for the holidays. We do Santa brunches and all sorts of sort of festive experiences during the holiday season. So there are still reasons to come, but
it's mainly golf, and you really concentrate on golf.
We do. I mean, we're almost running two separate businesses, right? I mean, 6 months of the year, 6 months of the year, we're focused on that golf consumer.
Yeah.
And then the remainder of the year, we're focused more on people who are coming here for other reasons. You do still get a little bit of golf business during the off season. That's mostly members of these clubs who live somewhere else.
Or actually from the UK as well, because a lot of the UK market can't afford those prices, in height of summer. Yeah. So the opportunity to come and you can have great days in winter.
You can.
That's quite nice. I've also looked, I read a lot because I'm doing the podcast and looking at future guests and looking at the industry as well, because I'm fascinated in it. And it would seem that travelers now are looking, especially probably in the States, affluent travelers are looking for more trips but shorter trips. Would you say that you may be looking at Europe as well, based on golf being some great golf courses, and looking at trends as well? You're constantly looking at travel.
Do you mean for expansion, or do you mean for trying to attract that consumer to the UK?
For expansion.
For expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of expansion, we're definitely still in growth mode.
Okay.
We grew relatively quickly over the first few years of the brand. The brand has really only existed since 2021. We reopened the Rusacks in 2021.
Done a lot since 2021.
We've done a lot.
I didn't realize it was that short.
Yes, so we announced ourselves to the world in 2021, and since then, we now have 5 in Scotland. We've got 2 in Northern Ireland, and we've done our first deal in the U.S. in North Carolina. Okay. So we expanded pretty rapidly. I would say over the last year or so, we've kind of caught our breath, and we're focusing on making sure that we're running these hotels, the best way that we can, and delivering outstanding experience and outstanding service to our guests. But in the relatively near future, I think we'll get back into that growth mode, and I think you'll see some announcements over the next year or two of new acquisitions. In terms of where we would go, I mentioned the way that we created this brand was sort of just looking at the world's best golf courses and the Open Championship courses, which of course there's a lot of overlap there, and trying to find hotels adjacent to those types of courses. And so if you look at the areas that we're in and that we're not in within the UK and Ireland, it's not like it's any great secret as to where we would look. I mean, you mentioned Kent, obvious opportunity. The Northwest, where you've got 3 Open Championship courses within an hour or so of each other in England. We don't have anything in Ireland, so southwest of Ireland, obviously, around Dublin. Those I think are the places where I'm keen to get into.
And the northwest is probably less seasonal as well because you've got a lot of football, and obviously the Premier League is big in the States, for example. Being able to fill that market to go to Liverpool, Manchester, that type of thing could also be a good opportunity.
And Kent is a little bit less seasonal too. I mean, slightly better weather than
100%
than Dornoch, Scotland, I would say.
Bit warmer.
Yeah, a bit warmer. Beyond that, definitely the U.S. I think we'll do more in the U.S. We've done our first deal, as I mentioned, in Southern Pines, North Carolina. A project that we're really excited about. 2 Donald Ross designed golf courses down there.
Wow.
And
again, so going back to history.
Yes. Yeah. Donald Ross, the son of Dornoch, of course, and one of the most prolific and greatest golf course architects of all time. And those courses are open for public play, so that's the model that we're looking for. Great destination golf courses, but open to the public, either public or a private-public hybrid like you often find over here. So we'll be looking for that more in the U.S. as well. I do think the brand works elsewhere. I mean, Spain seems like a place where
Portugal seems to be. We did I don't know if you've heard of Details. So we were lucky enough to interview Nuno, who heads up. He's the CEO. Really nice guy. Really interesting. And really transforming the golf courses over there, and obviously looking at hotels. And I think, again, attracting the American market, maybe also for second homes, that type of thing as well, for the climate. And I think Portugal is definitely on the map for Americans.
Right, so, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and then if you want to look further afield, I mean, I think it would work in Australia. There's some great golf there, New Zealand. Yeah. But I mean, to be clear, we don't have active deals in these locations. These are just this is just in my mind.
But that's the exciting thing, when you think about it. Actually, where are the old courses? They're in South Africa, they're in New Zealand, they're in Australia. There's huge scope for this brand, isn't there?
Right. There really is. There really is.
Very exciting. Yes. And with golf booming.
Yes.
And people wanting to go to different places. The kind of start golf, that's the nice thing, is the youngsters are coming in, both male and female. And it's great to see that the female market is booming at like sort of 28 to 45-year-olds.
Right.
That's the biggest growth in market. Now, that's always good news for us guys, because if you want to come and play golf, fantastic, we're going to a golf venue. Right.
I think we're going to see a big increase over the next few years on couples golf trips.
Yeah, I do as well.
Where either the guys are playing golf and the women are doing something else, or they're all playing golf.
Yeah.
I mean, the traditional trip,
trip.
4, 8, 12 boys, coming over together. I mean, that is our bread and butter.
Yeah, at the moment.
And we're still going to see a lot of that, and we do, I think, a very good job of catering to that clientele. But there's no reason why you can't turn that into kind of a couples trip. I'm sort of doing that myself with some of my friends from the U.S. in September. They're coming over. We're going to be in Ireland and Northern Ireland for 7 days, and we're going to play 4 rounds of golf. We're not going to play 7 rounds of golf. We're going to play 2 days. We're going to take a day off. And so, to me, that's a great golf trip. I'm fortunate enough to get to play over here a lot, so maybe I view things differently. But I don't need to play 6 courses in 6 days.
No,
and I'm not playing 36.
I think it's less is more. Again, we talk about wine. Now as we get older, it's about the quality, not the quantity.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a bit like the golf as well.
Absolutely.
One of the things I wanted to touch on is obviously, because we highlight wine, is food and beverage.
Yes.
And that's obviously a big thing as well. People are happy because their stomachs are full and they enjoy the food, and then they enjoy the golf. The greens are good on the golf course, and they're off the golf course are good. Fantastic. I read recently that you're bringing in a pop-up to the Russocks. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why and who they are?
Yes, we are incredibly excited about this. So a restaurant out of New York called Rayo's, one of the most legendary restaurants in New York City, if not in the entire country. Italian-American food, wonderful, family-oriented environment. The restaurant, the original restaurant in New York is in East Harlem. It's been in the same family since its founding. I've had the pleasure to go there one time it is very small and it is very cozy, and you really feel like you're at a family dinner of a great family of Italian cooks, so to speak. So it's a wonderful place. It's generally considered to be the toughest table to get in all of New York.
Wow.
You basically cannot make a reservation. They have sold their tables for the entire year to their regulars who come. So they've got people who come every week. They've got people who come once a month. They've got people who come once a quarter. They've got people who come maybe just once a year. But those people, that's their table. And so they don't take reservations. You can't call up. You have to go with somebody who has like a personal seat license, to a sporting event.
That's interesting.
And
season tickets,
season tickets, so to speak. Yeah. And that model has worked brilliantly for them. Our CEO Ben Weprin, who I mentioned earlier, he has become very friendly with that family, particularly Frank Pellegrino, and who's one of the two partners there. I think he has another partner, Ron Strachey. I hope I'm getting those names right.
Okay.
But those two families are the partners in Rao's. Ben was actually a partner in their Los Angeles restaurant. So they've started in New York. They've done a couple of other restaurants in the United States. But through that friendship and that relationship, Ben was actually playing golf with Frank in St. Andrews and took him into our pub, the One Under pub, which you go down the steps and sort of underground there, and said, "Look at this place. This looks like Rao's," and it does. It actually has the feel and the characteristics and the atmosphere of the Rao's in East Harlem. And so he sold Frank and then ultimately Ron on this idea that they should bring the Rao's brand into Rusac's, that it was a great match. And we did some renovations to the space. We didn't have to do a whole lot. It was mainly swapping out photography and putting up some Christmas decor.
Okay.
That's one of the elements of the original Rao's in New York, is they keep the Christmas decorations up year round. The story is that they put them up in 1975 or something and just never took them down. So
I'll pop in because I look after King's Barnes for the wine. So must go and pop in. And how long is it up for? Just the season?
It's going to be up. It's going to be open for this golf season, and then TBD thereafter. Okay. We haven't officially announced what happens when at the end of.
I suppose you'd see how it goes through the season, get the feedback from clients and all that kind of stuff.
But I was
again, disruption. Not disruption, but just doing something different. It's not same old.
Yep.
People like tradition. People like it. But every now and again, someone goes like, "This is my fifth trip. What's new?"
Right.
This is new.
This is new.
Yeah.
And for a lot of Americans, they would be familiar with that restaurant, and they know they can't get into one in New York, and so this is an opportunity to come in and have some great meatballs and seafood salad and lemon chicken and the things that Rao's is known for. So I was fortunate enough to be there on the opening night a few weeks ago.
And is it their staff as well?
No, it's our staff.
Your staff, okay.
But they've assisted it with so they came over, their chef,
right,
and their sort of COO, I'm not sure what her title is, but effectively she runs the operation. MJ, she does an amazing job. She kind of just runs everything. They came over and spent a couple of weeks in the property, helped train our staff, making sure that we're preparing the dishes the way they're supposed to be prepared, making sure it has the authentic Rao's feel. And but now our staff has taken over and they've gone home, and now we're operating it for them.
See, that gets me thinking, because when I was at St. Andrews, we had a great relationship with Pinehurst, and we had staff swaps.
Okay.
And one that was hugely motivational.
Yep.
Secondly, they learned a lot.
Yes.
And learned different things and brought different things back. Yeah, as you grow, that's a great opportunity to gain staff and keep staff, which is so important from a hospitality business.
I think you were mentioning, if you're making your fifth trip over, what's new? What can I do? I think the same thing applies to the staff.
Yeah.
It's energizing. It's invigorating to have something new in your property, right? I mean, I think the staff is really excited that they have something that is so unusual, that's so special, that our American guests in particular, and I think the local community, are very excited to see there. So it gives them something new to experience and work on. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's been great for everyone.
Be really interested to see throughout the season how well it's done, and hopefully it's done as well as you anticipate it to be.
I think it will.
Getting to the end of our conversation, and
Are we? It's gone so fast.
it goes quickly. It goes quickly. We always finish with 2 questions.
Okay.
You're dealing with probably quite a lot of money anyway, and you're probably doing a lot of things that you quite like as well, so that's quite nice. But if you won the golf lottery,
Yes.
what would you spend the money on?
Yes.
It's only on golf.
I knew this question was coming. I thought about giving a cheeky answer, which is I'd like to create a breakaway golf tour where I attract some of the best golfers in the world by offering them huge amounts of money. Maybe a team-oriented concept.
Okay, I've never heard that before, no.
No, unfortunately, I'm going to give my honest answer, and you're probably going to be disappointed. It's kind of boring. I would keep doing what I'm doing, just at a greater scale.
Yeah.
I really love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love the...
Comes across.
Yeah,
really
thank
comes
you.
across.
I love the combination of the hotel business, of hospitality and golf. It's interesting. We talked about the fact I wasn't a serious golfer. I wouldn't say I'm a serious golfer now, but I have kind of fallen in love with the game, both with playing it and with the business side of it. Honestly. Yeah. So
gets in your blood. I mean,
it does.
I've been nearly 40 years in the business.
Yeah. So
and every day there's something new, and I learn so much. I mean, the one thing about the pandemic is that it's brought fresh ideas and fresh businesses, and now fashion is coming in. And my youngest son is a fashion designer, lives in Barcelona, never been interested in golf particularly, and he's head of menswear. And suddenly he's like, Dad, this golf stuff.
Yes.
Because he's looking at performance and how it works. He goes, what's a swing? That type of thing. And he's like, he has to understand this in order to go, golf is moving into this performance set.
Yes.
This is quite interesting.
So we're a capital intensive business. I mean, it takes a lot of money to buy these places, to renovate them to our standards. And so, we have been fortunate enough to raise a significant amount of capital to invest in the platform to date. But if I had unlimited resources, we were talking about all the places that I want to go. I would go full speed ahead in all of those markets all at once. We also talked a little bit about scale. I think maybe that was before we started the conversation. How many of these can you actually do? You don't need 1,000 marine and lawns, but could you support 50 worldwide? I think you probably could.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
that's what I would do with unlimited resources.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to go and visit those. That'd be pretty cool. And last question.
Yes.
If you had one round of golf left in your life, where would you play and with whom? And why?
Yes, this is an easy one. I would play on the course that I grew up on, Harmony Landing Golf Club in Goshen, Kentucky. A course that is it's a lovely course. It's not of any particular renown. The most famous thing about Harmony is it's the course where Justin Thomas grew up playing golf.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Right.
Justin's father, Mike, was the golf pro.
And wasn't his grandfather was a pro as well?
His grandfather was also a golf pro. Yeah. But Mike is from Ohio, but took the job. I was about 18 years old when he took the job as the head pro of Harmony Landing. So I cannot blame my poor golf game on him. I didn't really ever take a lot of lessons or anything from him, but I've gotten to know Mike over the years. He's a great guy. And of course, everybody from that area, we all follow Justin's career very, very closely. But that's the course that I grew up playing. It's the course that I have an emotional attachment to. And I would play with my dad. My dad is 85 years old.
Still great.
Didn't start playing golf until he was in his 50s. He's pretty rubbish like me.
But enjoys it, obviously.
But enjoys the game. And, when my dad is in good health.
Has he been over here? Has he brought?
He has come over here. He hasn't played golf here, but he's come to the UK and visited up here. He's been to St. Andrews. He's in good health, but when you get that age, you start wondering how many years do I have left? And so I think that would be easy. He and I would go out, and he likes to play when there's no one else around, and you can do that on that course. So we'd pick a time when there was no one on the golf course and play as slowly as we wanted, and hunt for balls in the woods and have a good time. So that's what I would do.
It's a nice story. Yeah, fantastic. Philip, it's been fascinating to talk to you. We're privileged to have you on. We always like to try and get the top guy, and we've certainly got the top guy here.
Thank you.
We're really looking forward to staying tonight. I've not stayed in the Marine before, so Ash and I are going to. I think we've got Liam Botham as well, who we're hosting, and we're doing a podcast with tomorrow. We're off to play Prestwick this afternoon.
Wonderful.
I think I'm going to get wet, but
great course,
great golf course.
David Fleming is the leader of that, and he's been great to us. Really just great guy, kind guy, and I've had the pleasure to play that course one time.
I'm actually playing with hopefully another guest on the podcast, a chap called Graham Russell.
Okay.
And he is the brand ambassador for Genesis, who obviously sponsor the Scottish
I have
Open.
met Graham, at least by email.
Yeah, a lovely guy.
Yes.
And he's hosting this because he's a member of Press Week.
Wonderful.
But I was thinking, obviously, with Renaissance and Grey Walls,
Yeah.
there's a partnership made in heaven, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. Believe me, we have heard from everyone regarding Grey Walls for the Scottish Open. So.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much
much.
indeed.
This is great.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I always look at him and I go, how was it?
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was very good.
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 What we also do is we take a picture